So beautiful. If anybody else wants to share where they're joining in from, or whether you've been with us before, you're a first timer, I'm Mary Beth for all of the first timers here, and I'm so happy that you chose to show up today. Because one of the greatest gifts in saying yes to this session in particular, Permission to be Human, is that you're making a choice to begin your week with real intention towards having more awareness, more compassion, and more care for yourself, for your own humanity. There are so many of us, me too, and I always like to say this, like I may be the person who wrote this pledge, and I may be the person guiding you in this practice right now, and a teacher of this work as my career, but know that I am on this journey too, right there with you and learning along the way. And one of the reasons I love doing this Permission to be Human work on Monday is that it can be really easy to get into a flow of permission to be perfect, especially at the beginning of the week. So it's kind of like, oh, maybe I did a little bit of letting my guard down. Maybe I did a little bit of resting, hanging out with friends, those kinds of things, hopefully, over the weekend. And now I have to, get back in action. I gotta get my hustle on. I gotta get my to-do list completed. I gotta make sure that I'm being productive and all of those things that are associated with Mondays. And so it's really important for me to be here with you on a Monday, to be able to say yes, and how can you give yourself and others permission to be human in that energy, right? How can we be kinder and more gentler to ourselves the way we would a little kid that we loved, right? How can we take care of the inner child inside of us with greater intention? How can we slow down and realize that in that process, we're actually getting so much further ahead? And really, it just takes these moments like coming here in this live guided practice together, or even coming back into the recording and being able to say, I'm going to stop, right? I'm going to pause, and I'm going to make a choice to go within myself to learn more about who I am in this moment, because I am not the same person I was just 3 minutes ago. Who am I in this moment? And how can I best give that person permission to be human? So if that sounds good to you, you're in the right place, because that's what we're going to be doing. So one of the things that I always say about these practices, I've been teaching these live guided meditations here on Insight Timer this is going into my second year. And I always say I'm coming into the practice exactly when I need it. Exactly when I need it. So it's always a gift to be able to take the time, to invest the time into yourself. Because when you choose to invest time in yourself in this type of way, in this type of meaningful reflection and opportunity to just ground yourself in the present moment, then we get to see what life is like by simply making another choice. Just making another choice. It doesn't have to be a huge choice. It doesn't have to be some epiphany or profound life-changing moment. But the reality is, it can be in those small little choices that come from paying attention to the whispers that truly are the things that are changing our lives. We just don't realize it. And so my invitation for you today in this practice is to be in a place where you're open to getting to know yourself better, because it's going to start with that self-awareness. So notice what's going on in my heart, right? What's going on in my neck, in my shoulders, in my mind, in my head, throughout my body, right? What can I be aware of? What are the thoughts that I'm having in this moment? Just becoming that mindful observer, meaning you don't get trapped in what you're observing or get taken down in a downward spiral about it. You're just saying, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that my palms are sweating? Isn't that interesting that I'm feeling really frustrated right now? Isn't that interesting that that made me feel joyful? Isn't it interesting that this is making me breathe deeper, right? So just self-awareness, and the key in what you just heard me do with the examples is the self-awareness met with self-compassion. Because what we can do easily is say, oh, my palms are sweating. What is wrong with me? I can't believe that this is still something that triggers me. Wow, this is ridiculous. You ever done that? If you've ever done that, send me a heart. Right? We learn something about ourselves, and then we judge ourselves for it. It's just the way we've been programmed. I can see a lot of people can relate to this with the hearts, right? And so how different would our lives be if we simply said, isn't that interesting? What am I learning about myself in this moment? Super easy to say that, a lot more difficult to do that. And so this practice is an opportunity to really become a scientist of your own life and go deeper into learning what that is for you and learning what that isn't. And then finally, so it's self-awareness met with self-compassion and then self-care. So self-care is any action that you take that supports your healing. Any action you take that supports your healing. It doesn't mean that you need to take a vacation or that you need to pay for some service. It can mean that, and those are beautiful forms of self-care, but it can truly just be, okay, I'm going to go to bed earlier tonight, or I'm glad I have that awareness because I'm not going to talk to myself that way. And that's actually one of the highest forms of self-care. I'd love to hear from you in the chat. How are you feeling now? How are you feeling? How was this practice for you? The hearts lead me to believe that you're feeling good. If you had one word to describe, what is this like? Oh, wow, healed. Stephen, that's powerful. Michelle, lovely, wonderful. Bill, thank you so much for your donation. That makes such a difference. Gives me such beautiful feedback. Thank you. I appreciate it. So lovely from Michelle. Thank you. You're welcome, Michelle. That was nice. I like anchoring into my heart. Awesome. Rick. Cynthia, yeah, right? A lot of times we talk about our breath as the anchor, which it is. It's such a powerful anchor. But I like considering other anchors too that we have on us at all times as long as we're alive. And if we're going to connect with our breath, we can just as easily connect with our hearts as that anchor, because our heart really does only beat right now. Oh, Stephen, thank you so much for your donation. That's so nice. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad to know that folks got good value from today's experience. I'm always open to feedback. If you have any suggestions or requests or recommendations for the future. And I'll tell you that if you're a new person who is excited about this practice, I want to make sure that you know that I have loads of guided meditations here on Insight Timer, as well as 7 just on the Permission to Be Human pledge. So the Permission to Be Human pledge, let's see if it'll show up. There we go. The Permission to Be Human pledge comes from my book, which is called Permission to Be Human. And it is a set of promises that obviously you heard when we were in the live session today. But if you want to join our group, because this pledge really resonated with you and you want to go deeper into it, on the feed, the homepage of the group is called Permission to Be Human. I have all of the lines written out. So if you're like me and you love this and you want to say it every single day, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Amanda and some other folks in the group were a part of our New Year's challenge last year, where we said it every day for 31 days. And it's amazing. We need this permission. Like, it's wild. It's wild how comfortable we are with giving ourselves only permission to be perfect. We can be compassionate and loving and gracious to others, but when it comes to ourselves, we do not let ourselves off the hook. And it's such a programmed way for us as humans, and it's our time now to be able to evolve in practices like mindfulness and meditation and self-awareness and self-compassion and self-care, using tools like this pledge, using all of the incredible tools here on Insight Timer, and being able to say, you know what? I want to be a part of a healthier world. I want to be a part of creating more consciousness in this planet. And when you say yes to practices like this and you learn something about yourself, even if you forget and have to come back and learn it again, you're still going on an intentional journey to evolve and heal and move more deeply into who you were here to be. Because we get so weighed down by fear and judgment of ourselves that we never even give ourselves permission to envision something bigger than, having our needs met and having a good life, right? And so when we can get in relationship with our thoughts and our habits and our behaviors and our patterns in a way that we can say, oh, I know that's how I judge myself. Isn't that interesting that I'm judging myself right now? What's my next choice? And how can I choose this over what I'm doing to hurt myself right now? It can seem impossible in the beginning. I know I've been doing this work in my life for a really long time, over a decade now, and sometimes it feels like this is going to take forever and that I'm never going to get to where I want to be, and that this is so hard and painful, and why does so much suffering have to exist? And other times, which is really awesome because now that I'm more evolved in my journey, certainly nowhere near the end, I can just notice that faster and make a new choice faster. So it's not about those things vanishing or not existing anymore. It's about learning how to dance with them, learning to identify them when they're there, and have a pattern, and then be able to respond to yourself with love. It's funny, I'm really active on LinkedIn, and my husband recently has been pulling all of my old posts that got a lot of engagement, and the majority of them are personal stories. And it's interesting because he's been coding them based on boundaries or values or mindfulness or stress, whatever it might be. Those are topics that I speak about. And the other day I was going through one of my downward spirals about something, and he's like, wait a minute, I have the post for that. And he went into the spreadsheet and he just read me back my own words, because I was just going through the exact same experience with a new set of circumstances that I had been just 2 months before, or even a couple weeks before. And he's like, you give yourself the best advice. It's just the remembering it, right? The remembering it when you need it the most. So that's what this practice is about. It's the remembering. So we're remembering that you have permission to be human. And when you choose to give yourself permission to be human unconditionally, then you ignite that possibility for everybody around you. I cannot tell you how many people have made new choices simply because they saw me make a different choice. And they were like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. But she just did it, so I guess that means I can do it. Right? And I'm not talking about this as being an influencer or a teacher. I'm just talking about everyday people just in the grocery store noticing. Right? It's oh, I could make that choice too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Michelle, I have the same epiphanies again and again. It's cool, isn't it? It tells you a lot about what you're here in this lifetime to remember, and the work you're here to do. So with that, unless there's any questions or additional comments, I will close with saying how grateful I am that you chose to be here with me today. There are a lot of choices that we get to make, and this is not one that I take lightly. To have nearly 100 people here from all over the world saying yes to giving themselves permission to be human, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I look forward to continuing to grow together, whether that be in any of my recordings that are here on Insight Timer. I have a course called Knowing and Living Your Values. If you go to my profile on Insight Timer, I even have a free quiz you can take to understand what your values are, if you want to go deeper into that. And I have these lives. I do about 2 lives a month on Mondays, and it's the kind of thing, if you want to join the group, I always have them posted there, but you can follow me as a teacher and see them that way as well. Frida's saying, I feel relieved. Thank you for the remembering. You're welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. Michelle saying, grateful for stumbling into your session today. Now following. Awesome. Yeah, if you like this session, please follow me. Please listen to the other tracks. Whenever you listen to tracks and review them, they help us as teachers. And so it really makes a difference to continue the practice together if this did something for you today. If this did something for you today, there's lots of ways you can do that, whether in live sessions or in the other pieces I have here on Insight Timer, or you can go to my profile and see even more ways that we can connect. So with that, I just want to end by saying thank you. I appreciate you, and I am so excited for you because this is such an opportunity in the remembering that you can make a new choice anytime you want. You can go from only giving yourself permission to be perfect to giving yourself full permission to be human with one choice. That's it. And if you need the reminder, come back and listen to this practice. All right, I look forward to seeing you soon, my friend. Bye-bye.